All right, now let's think about this. So what we have seen in the year 2017 to 18 is an enormous increase in the amount of money that was poured into so-called initial coin offerings. Initial coin offerings essentially is just a process of an entity, a firm, a project issuing a particular type of token using blockchain technology. Now, I should say I've not continued this data series beyond July 2018. Why? Well, because the data source coin schedule no longer exists. The estimate that I have here is it stopped basically at the time when there was roughly 1,500 or 1,200 such coin offerings. There have been more than the ones that I have that I'm describing here. But what can I say? The data source no longer exists, and it's actually pretty difficult to also piece together what kind of coin offerings exist. Now, there's a paper by Evgeny Leandris from Boston College who actually pieced all of this together from various different sources, and so he has a bit of an ecosystem of the existing coin offerings that have happened from 2016 loosely until 2019. Unfortunately, as it always is, such a research paper is only a snapshot in time, so this is an ongoing area with ongoing activity. All right, so let's quickly talk about the difference between a coin and a token. I'm going to give you two definitions here, and we're going to try to. This is actually important because we need to understand and find a way how we can conceptualize the difference between coins and tokens, and how a token actually works. So normally, where we think about a coin is that this is something which is native to a particular blockchain. So an example is Bitcoin, Ether or ETH, Bitcoin Cash, Lumens, which is for the Stellar network, or Cardano for the Cardano network. Now, a token, on the other hand, is something that lives on the blockchain. So it's a special item which has been issued on top of an existing blockchain and have various different use cases. Now, in some sense, you can also think about it as the difference between money versus financing. So coins are really there as money versus tokens can be used as a form of financing. The difference is not quite so clean cut because some of the tokens can be used as payment tokens, but we're going to come to the details of that in a minute. The other way to think about it is from the tech layer perspective. Now, this is something that I have also talked to you in the synchronous sessions. And for those of you who haven't had synchronous sessions with me, this is something that we're discussing for sure. And this is the tech stack of the blockchain. Now, you can think of the internet or any technology as being something which is only part of a series of different levels of technology that you need in order to accomplish a particular goal. So example, when you have, like you're a gamer, you need a platform, right? So this is basically the infrastructure provided. That is usually your Xbox, if you want, right? So whatever technology and operating system is on the Xbox, that is that. And then you have the next layer, which is the application layer, and that is the game, right? Now, sometimes there will be an app store in between because you need to buy the apps. So there is a service layer for the apps or for the games that is also part of the tech stack. The same holds for blockchain technology. Now, when we think of blockchain, really at its core, it is an infrastructure. Right? So the Ethereum blockchain is an infrastructure, the Stellar blockchain is an infrastructure, the Conflux network is an infrastructure. And then also on this infrastructure, there are tokens. Now, these tokens are usually used as rewards and as an internal currency. So example, of course, is ETH, CFX for Conflux, or Lumens for Stellar. Then there's the service layer. So the service layer is a set of protocols and contracts and functionality that is ultimately there to service the application layer. So one example for a service is a decentralized oracle. Now, an oracle, what that does is basically it tries to bring information to the blockchain. It is a way how you can verify that something has happened that is not intrinsic to the blockchain. This is actually a very hard problem. For instance, if you're thinking of stock prices, when you want to have a smart contract, for instance, that operates on the basis of a particular stock price having been reached. You need to have some way to bring this in, and a decentralized oracle is one way to do this. Now, applications is then what comes as a top layer. So an application is just something which an end user would use. So for instance, it could be a wallet of some form. It could be an investment product. It could be a payment that you use for a computer game where you use a service layer for the payments channels. Now, the way we think about the particular tokens, the tokens that you can issue, and you can think of tokens conceptually to be issued in all three of these layers, I already said that the infrastructure layer is usually the coin, the native cryptocurrency. The service layer could be an incentive payment. So for instance, the service could be another platform that works on top of the blockchain. Or it could also be just something which is a single use application or service where you have to pay for, and you need therefore you need to pay a token, for instance, to pay in form of a usage fee. And then finally you have the applications, and usually when we think of the applications, we think of tokens. They're really being used as a usage fee. Now, one tiny snack, sometimes also a token, there's something like a unique token. So these are tokens which are non-fungible. So for instance, Ether, each of these Ether coins is fungible. You can exchange one for another. There's no serial number to it. But there are also tokens that are unique. One example is the so-called CryptoKitties. CryptoKitties are essentially just some cats that were run and then registered on the blockchain, and each of them is unique. And that's essentially a token which has unique features, and one is completely different from another. But let's not get into that because that's not really what I'm after.